not a valid revocation.
Wait a second. So you're going to argue states' rights that Florida gets to determine whether or not they want to revoke or not, but then you're going to say Florida actually has the ability to determine whether Pennsylvania's revocation was valid or not? I mean, come on, man.
No. What I was saying, Representative Shapiro, what I was saying,
you've got to have some
is
logic.
You have a factual scenario that Pennsylvania bases its revocation on. I'm saying when Pennsylvania reports that factual scenario to the reciprocal state, the reciprocal state has the right.
It was a valid revocation.
Okay, and does that, if it's a valid revocation, then you have to assume that the reciprocal state is going to revoke their permit too.
But
now you've got two revocations.
They did not revoke it in this case. Should Pennsylvania recognize Florida's permit? Yes or no?
The answer to that is the same answer, according to Commonwealth Court in the Feldman case, is the same as when you have a carry permit and a driver's license and the revocation is determined to be the same thing. It's just like the hearing on the driver's license suspension. That was this Feldman case. It's pending now. I believe the appeal's going up. So the answer to your question is we're going to get it from the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. They're looking to rule on it.
What's your opinion? If you were on the Supreme Court, how would you rule?
How would I rule?
What is your opinion on that?
I would need more facts. Okay, is the valid revocation...
I'm using your facts. I've been using your facts the whole time. I couldn't be more clear. You should listen to my friend Kim's testimony. At least he's direct. He gives a straight answer. I may not always agree with him, but he gives a straight answer. You're not. Mr. Chairman, I'm through with my questions. We're obviously not getting an answer.
Mr. Chairman.
I do want to recognize that Representative Greg Vitale is a member of the
And I don't want to
get legal counsel. She went to the CL class review, by the way. She needs a comment. Go ahead.
I don't want to get in a long dissertation. I just have a question. The question is, in your discussions back and forth with my colleagues, you seem to indicate that there should be no procedure at all in issuing a license. If a person goes to Pennsylvania and asks for a license, there should be no criteria the license should be given. Is that true?
No.
Okay. Well, tell me the criteria. Very brief.
Criteria are set out in section 6109. Where I have a problem with the criteria is the character and reputation, because it is so subjective and it's so ill-defined. And then in section 6109, where it has the revocation based on good cause, another ill-defined, actually non-defined term.
But sir, isn't most of the procedure on behavior, on whether you were pulled over and you had a DUI license, a DUI citation or whatever? Most of it, from my understanding, is on behavior and whatever. Is that true?
As far as I know, there are no crimes that you can commit without doing something. There is no crime of inactivity. Now, I may be wrong, failure to render aid, but I'm not certain. But any of the crimes that would be a disabler, any of the crimes listed in section 6109 are disablers. All of those are at least, although I may be wrong, I think there is one that's less than a second-degree misdemeanor. Predominantly, they are first-degree misdemeanors or higher. Under the federal statute, if you've ever been convicted of a state misdemeanor, punishable by more than 2 years, you can't have a gun. Where we ran into a problem in Pennsylvania, we had 3-year misdemeanors before 1972 under the vehicle code, motor vehicle code. These convictions are objective. You're either convicted or you're not convicted. If you're convicted, you can't have a gun, you can't get a carry permit. One of the issues are things like any conviction under the Drug Act. It used to be any felony conviction. They changed it. That's you gentlemen.
Suppose somebody has three DUIs and they're turned down. You're saying
under section 1605, 3 DUIs within a 5-year period is a
how about 1 DUI?
Well, the guy who's not a drinker doesn't know where his limit is. I'm not trying to I don't want to argue the rights of...
I'm not arguing, I'm just trying to find information so I can vote intelligently when this bill comes, if the bill ever comes up.
What I'm saying is, nobody wants to say, the rights of drunkards, the rights of wife beaters. That's not what we're talking about. But sometimes people have bad days. Should they lose all of their rights forever because of
They
it?
can kill somebody.
Yeah.
Well,
And that could be a bad day.
that would be a real bad day. But then the gentleman who has the insecticide and uses it incorrectly can kill people too. You have to get a permit to get insecticide?
That's enough. That's it.
I just wanted to follow up real quickly on Representative Shapiro's line of questioning. And I know where he was trying to go, and I think I know where the confusion was in terms of where the disconnect was. My question is if a Pennsylvania resident who has these two permits, Florida and Pennsylvania, has their Pennsylvania permit revoked, exhaust all of their appeals processes, all the way up to the, all the way up, as far as they can go, it's revoked, it's done. In your opinion, or would you be able to support legislation that says, okay, they've gone through the whole appeals process, Pennsylvania is no longer going to recognize them holding an out-of-state permit, regardless of what Florida does. That Florida permit could still be valid in Utah, California, wherever a Florida permit is valid. In Pennsylvania, it would no longer be recognized as a valid permit based on the fact that their Pennsylvania permit was either denied or revoked and they exhausted all appeals processes.
Before I could answer that, I would need to take a look at the reciprocity agreement reached between the Attorney General's office and that reciprocal state, whether it's Florida or anywhere else, because that may determine the answer to your question. The terms of that reciprocity agreement.
She's asking you a question. Do you think, if we're here to discuss making a law to solve this problem. And the question is, do you think that would be a reasonable law to say that under the law, if someone's had their PA permit denied or revoked, we don't have to recognize an out-of-state permit? Do you think that's a reasonable approach from a legal standpoint?
From a legal standpoint, you'd have to take a look at how that interplays with the reciprocity agreement.
Look, we're writing the law. It interplays however we want it to interplay.
I'm sorry, Representative Lynch, but you can't change contracts after the fact. And you have a contract between Pennsylvania and this reciprocal state that was entered into under the authority of the Commonwealth by the Attorney General. You can't do that legitimately.
I'm talking about going forward, do you think it's a reasonable approach to try to solve this problem to say that if you've been denied or revoked in PA, you can't rely on another state's permit? Is that fair?
My answer to you is the same answer in detail I just gave to Ms. Fox, if I'm reading that sign correctly. You have to take a look at the contract, the reciprocal agreement. That is a treaty between sovereign states, in effect. You can't change that unilaterally. Now, if you want to sit there and make an argument, you have some basis for that. I'm not saying no, but...
I'm going to take that. I don't want to hear anything else. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to testify this morning.
Next, move to Mrs. King.